Clark not really wanting to do it because she's not working out with Chris Brickley. I mean this when I say this. Like, I've gone to clinics from Drew Hanlon. I've seen a lot of these workouts on an individual basis. When you're going to any of these NBA trainers on an individual basis, they all do the same thing. Like, you're looking at similar things. Maybe Drew Hanlon has people jumping and doing 360s in the air a little bit more.
Look at who's standing in that gym. That's not just any trainer working with Caitlin Clark right now. That's Rob Dozier, former NBA trainer, G League development coach. And the fact that he's there, surrounded by what looks like 5 other people from the Pacers organization, tells you everything about how differently Indiana is approaching this offseason compared to last year. Because last summer, Caitlin bulked up. She added serious muscle mass to her arms and upper body, thinking it would help her handle the physicality of the WNBA. And on paper, that makes sense. Except it backfired spectacularly.
Like, I didn't realize how much Caitlin Clark's arms had bulked up last year until that picture, the picture's going around, it's her birthday, of her at a wedding, where I'm like, she legitimately was like, I don't mean this in like a non-basketball sense, but like, she legitimately had above average size arms. And that's just as a player, not for a guard.
That's the reality nobody wanted to say out loud last season. Caitlin Clark got bigger, got stronger, and immediately looked less mobile. Her shot mechanics changed. She couldn't move laterally the way she did at Iowa. And then she got injured. Now look at recent photos from her birthday appearance at that wedding. She slimmed back down significantly. Her arms are noticeably smaller than they were during the season. This isn't speculation, this is a deliberate choice to reverse course on last year's approach. And here's what makes the Rob Dozier hire so significant. He's not just running her through basic shooting drills. The man has connections throughout the NBA. He's worked with elite players. He knows how to bring in quality defenders for live work.
The difference is who they can bring with them. So like, especially on the men's side, it's like I knew guys who, like, Drew Hanlon would fly them over to LA in the summers, and they would play against, these were like really high level D1 guys, played pro, never were close to the NBA, because you can't really get an NBA player to commit to doing that. But they'll fly over to LA for a little bit of money, and during the summers, their job would basically be, you're playing against these guys, you're guarding these guys.
This is the part casual fans don't understand about elite NBA trainers. It's not about the drills themselves. Drew Hanlon, Chris Brickley, Rob Dozier, any high-level trainer, they're all running similar shooting progressions. Catch and shoot, off the dribble, different angles. It's fundamental stuff. The real value is who they can bring with them. These trainers fly in high-level Division I players, guys who played professionally overseas, former G League players. They pay them to come to LA or Miami or wherever, and their entire job is to provide legitimate defense without overwhelming the NBA player. It's good enough defense that the moves have to be crisp, but it's not so dominant that nothing works. That's the sweet spot for development.
There are some drills that are the same. But I do think Rob Dozier obviously working with an NBA team. There's obviously, you can see here, there's a team with them. There is a team. It is Caitlin Clark with 5 others. So somebody's obviously acting as defenders, people helping her out in those settings. Because from every workout we saw last year, it was Caitlin Clark. It was Caitlin Clark and kind of dummy defense by Keith Porter. It was Stephanie White shouting things at Caitlin Clark as she did a workout.
Count the people in that gym with Caitlin. There are 5 others visible in the footage. 5. That's not normal for an individual workout. That means somebody is playing defense. Somebody is rebounding. Somebody is passing. This is game-based training, not just spot shooting. And that matters because of what we didn't see last offseason. Go back and watch Caitlin's workout videos from last summer. She didn't attempt a single left-hand layup. Not one. She took maybe 3 pull-up threes going to her right. The exact weaknesses that showed up during the season were completely absent from her training footage. People called it nitpicking at the time. "Oh, you're just a hater analyzing workout clips." But then the season started, and guess what? Caitlin struggled finishing with her left hand. She couldn't consistently shoot off the dribble going right. The workout footage was prophetic.
Caitlin Clark, if nothing else, Caitlin Clark is working out with Indiana Pacers trainers. She's working out with Pacers trainers. She's working out with the Pacers staff. And that's the thing, again, when it comes to people that are the staff. Like, a guy I used to play with worked as like a really low-level S&C coach for the Houston Rockets. But like, this guy was like, here was the fucking man. Like, I played, like, he's pushing, like, he's 30, in his mid-30s, late 30s now, but he's still the fucking man when he plays here. But like, again, he was just in and around the organization for Houston. So at times he would stand in as a defender. He would stand in as a rebounder, as a passer. Like, really good player just being in the organization. And
here's how NBA organizations actually develop their players. They have low-level assistant coaches, former college players, guys in their 30s who can still absolutely play. One example, a former player who worked as a low-level skills and conditioning coach for the Houston Rockets. This guy wasn't a household name, but he could still dominate pickup games in his mid-30s. His job, stand in as a defender during workouts. Provide resistance, rebound, pass. Just be another body in the gym who knows how to play at a high level. That's what Caitlin is getting now with Pacers staff involved. She's working out with NBA-level infrastructure, not just a personal trainer and a rebounder.
And I was concerned, and people were like, "Oh, you're just a hater." And I'm like, "No, like, oh, you're trying to nitpick a workout." Caitlin Clark didn't attempt a left-hand layup last season. She attempted like 3 off the dribble 3-point shots going right, and left the things that people were concerned about, left-hand layups and shooting going right. I think she attempted like 3 of them last year. At the end of the day, when you've got defense in, when you've got, when you're working on stuff like that, it's going to help having as many people as possible. And look, maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I am. The reality is that I probably am. But we're not seeing footage of the workout. We can make assumptions, but at the end of the day, like, we're clearly seeing them go a completely different way with Caitlin.
The physicality issue from last season created a crisis nobody wants to talk about publicly. Multiple star players got injured. The refereeing was inconsistent at best, deliberately allowing excessive contact at worst. And the league's biggest star responded by bulking up to protect herself. Except that bulk made her slower, made her shot less consistent, and ultimately, she still got hurt anyway. Now think about this from the league office perspective. You just watched your viewership pot because of one player. Caitlin Clark single-handedly brought millions of new fans to the WNBA. Her games drew unprecedented ratings, and then she got injured, partly because she felt she needed to add muscle mass to survive the physical play. There's an unspoken conversation happening right now. The league has to be saying, our refereeing approach directly contributed to our biggest star changing her body in ways that hurt her performance and led to injury. That's not sustainable.
Down. Caitlin has absolutely slimmed back down. I think the league is probably changing. And I would also say, look, to say that the likes like Caitlin Clark's doesn't know what's going on in the league. My expectation is there's a bit of a call being like, look, all of our players got injured last year. Cop the fuck on, referees. Stop with this physicality bullshit. Yeah. And we just lost the face of our league because she bulked up too much in the summer. And because of our awful refereeing, the face of our league bulked up too much, got injured, and our viewership dropped 50%. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it, lads. That's the video.
Look at the timeline here. Caitlin slims back down this offseason. She hires an NBA-level trainer with connections throughout professional basketball. She's working out with Pacers staff instead of just doing individual sessions. And she's doing this in December, months before training camp. This is not random. This is a coordinated effort to completely change her physical preparation compared to last year. The message is clear. The bulk didn't work. The isolation training didn't work. This year it's about mobility, skill development with live defenders, and getting back to what made her special at Iowa. Here's what makes this off-season approach so critical for Caitlin's sophomore season. Last year, she came into the league having added significant muscle mass, thinking she needed to match the physicality. And in some ways, it helped. She was bouncing off contact better than people expected. Defenders like Alyssa Thomas couldn't just push her around. But the trade-offs were brutal. Her lateral quickness suffered. Her shot, which had been automatic at Iowa, looked different mechanically. She was carrying extra weight that affected her movement patterns. And despite all that added strength, she still ended up injured. Now she's reversed course. She's slimmed down to something closer to her Iowa playing weight. And she's working with Rob Dozier, who brings NBA-level expertise and connections. That's a significant upgrade from last year's training setup. The 5 people in that gym matter. In individual training, you can get away with dummy defense. A coach holds up a pad. You dribble around a cone. You shoot against air. It looks good on Instagram, but it's not game speed. With multiple bodies in the gym, you can run actual offensive actions. You can practice finishing through contact with a real defender contesting. You can work on shooting off the dribble with someone closing out. That's the difference between looking good in workouts and actually improving your game. Think about what was missing from last year's preparation. Caitlin didn't work on her left hand. She didn't practice pull-up threes going right. Those weren't those were deliberate choices to avoid her weaknesses in training. And predictably, those exact weaknesses showed up in games. Defenders forced her left. She struggled to finish. They ran her off the three-point line, going right. She couldn't consistently pull up and everything that didn't appear in her workout videos became a problem during the season. That's why this year's approach matters. Rob Dozier has worked with NBA players who have real weaknesses they need to address. He's not going to let Caitlin avoid the hard stuff. He's going to force her to work on finishing left. He's going to make her shoot off the dribble going right, because that's what professional development looks like. The Pacers' staff involvement is equally important. These aren't random trainers. These are people employed by an NBA organization that shares a facility with the Fever. They understand professional basketball development. They know how to structure workouts that translate to game performance. And here's the thing about NBA infrastructure that the WNBA desperately needs more of. It's not just about the drills. It's about the ecosystem. NBA teams have multiple assistant coaches who can provide quality defense. They have player development staff who can break down film and identify specific areas for improvement. They have strength coaches who understand the balance between adding functional strength and maintaining mobility. Last year, Caitlin bulked up without that level of support. She added muscle, but it wasn't the right kind of muscle for her game. She got stronger, but she lost the quickness that made her special. That's what happens when you don't have professional infrastructure guiding your development. This year looks completely different. She's working within an NBA organization's framework. She's getting the kind of support that elite players need to develop properly. And she's doing it months before training camp, giving herself time to build the right kind of conditioning. The league office has to be watching this closely, because Caitlin's injury last year wasn't just bad luck. It was the predictable result of a player feeling like she needed to bulk up to survive the physical play, then getting hurt anyway. That's a failure of officiating, not a failure of preparation. If the WNBA wants to protect its stars, it can't rely on players adding muscle mass to absorb contact. It needs to actually call fouls. It needs to protect skill players from excessive physicality, because asking Caitlin Clark to play like a power forward is absurd. Watch what happens this season. If Caitlin comes back lighter, quicker, and more skilled, but the refereeing stays the same, we're going to see the same problems. Defenders will grab her. They'll body her up off the ball. They'll make it physical. And if the refs don't call it, she'll either get injured again, or she'll have to bulk back up. That's not sustainable for the league's biggest star. And it's not sustainable for the WNBA's growth. Casual fans didn't tune in to watch Caitlin Clark get mauled off the ball. They tuned in to watch her make ridiculous passes and hit deep threes. The league needs to let her do that. So the question becomes, is this offseason transformation enough? Can Caitlin get back to her Iowa form while still surviving WNBA physicality? Or does the league need to fundamentally change how it officiates games? Because right now we're watching the biggest star in women's basketball completely overhaul her training approach. She's slimmed down, she's hired elite help, she's working with NBA infrastructure, she's doing everything right. But if the officiating doesn't change, if defenders are still allowed to grab and hold and body her up without consequences, then all this preparation might not matter. She'll either get hurt again, or she'll be forced to compromise her game to survive. That's the real story here. Not just Caitlin's off-season work, but what it reveals about the league's approach to protecting its stars. The WNBA just had its biggest season ever because of one player. And that player had to change her entire body to try to survive the physicality. That's a problem. So yeah, it's great that Caitlin is working with Rob Dozier, it's fantastic that she's got Pacers staff helping her develop, but the league office needs to do its part too. Call the fouls, protect the skill players, let Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. Because if this season plays out like last year, with inconsistent officiating and excessive contact, we're gonna be right back here next offseason talking about another injury. And at some point the league has to ask itself, is this really how we want to treat the player who saved our rating?